This is Joe Pam, the Lake Superior news reporter, and
this is Alex,
reporting for UO Radio, the voice of Cesaria and the soul of Ultima Online. In case you're wondering what Alex and I are doing here, we're reporting on the event that occurred on Tuesday, January 23rd. Now, you're probably wondering, what was that event? Well, the Lake Superior community met at the Scarebrae Community Center to go on an open dungeon crawl of shame, with details to come.
Hi, this is Alex, and I'm coming to you live from the Omen Guild House with Omen in Fel. Okay, first of all, can we introduce ourselves, starting at the top?
Hi, I'm God of War, or Althoran on Stratix. I'm primarily the tech, so I don't actually do much work, game-wise.
I'm Blaine.
And I'm Angel Tears, or DJ Vampira at UO Radio.
Techno Stu.
Madigan or Murdoch. Murdoch on Stratix.
I am Alex. Okay, so first question is, did you enjoy the event?
Oh yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely worthwhile.
I enjoyed myself immensely.
Okay, second part is, what was the most memorable part of the event?
Watching a bunch of people that never done a harrow before successfully complete a harrower.
Definitely the harrower. Their reaction to being able to do that was big, and that was really cool for me to see.
I don't know, I think the end was pretty cool, because they actually appreciated it, you know, rather than we just wasted our time on somebody that didn't appreciate it.
I enjoyed teaching the shirt a lesson.
I honestly just enjoyed running around not having to kill people.
What did you think of the event when you first heard of it?
Personally, I got pretty excited. It's been a while since I've been a part of any event besides just champ spawns or harrowers. To do something for the community was kind of nice for a change.
I thought it was a good idea. Give back to the community.
I don't know, Omen always tries to outdo, if there's something there that they say can't be done, we try to do it. So it was one of those things that you're not supposed to do, and you can't do it. And yeah, I thought, let's prove them wrong, let's do it.
I heard about it, I got excited about it, but my first thought was, oh boy, I hope we can do it.
Yeah, we were pretty stressed. We were, like, thinking of the game plan before, like, hours, 12, 14 hours before it even happened. We were planning out what we were going to do.
All right. Would you partake in another event like this?
Definitely.
Without a doubt, I would love to do another one like that.
Yep, I would definitely do it again, and I'm pretty sure Omen would do it again, although I can tell you that there's a lot of people out there that don't want us to do that again.
I've always liked doing things like this, but usually they don't pan out. So, yeah, I mean, that turned out well. It was quite positive, and I would love to see something like that again.
Okay. What did you think of the numbers that appeared in You Protect?
I was kind of surprised at the amount of blue or trammies that did turn out. I didn't think it would be that much. I think we had, about 20 or 15 to 20?
Yeah, it was actually, at first, when we first got there, we were ready half an hour before it started. And we went to go look, and there was like 5 people there, and we're like, oh, that sucks. And I think at the harrower there was like 14 people, at least.
Yeah,
not even
at least. Yeah, at least 14.
I actually counted, I believe 19 is confirmed. There may have been a few more or a few less. I think some people actually joined into the process. I was actually quite surprised at the number. I wasn't expecting to see more than 10. I was honestly also not surprised by the number of people that showed up to fight.
I think if we do it again, something like it, that will end up getting more, that we might actually have to turn some away, that a lot of people wait and see what would happen with it.
Yeah, I also think it's a problem that the more we do this, like, even last night there was the people waiting to kill us sitting there with the blues, and they were telling the blues, yeah, we're going to kill you, go through that gate. Now, I think that was just really, really horrible. But that's what you find in Fel.
How many Omen Guild mates were protecting the outside of the dungeon?
Okay, which time? Because there's when we were in Wrong, and then there's when we did the heroin.
Both?
At Wrong, we had 7 High Council members and 32 defenders, so 39. I got the list of the people, and it's 32 plus 07, yeah, okay. Okay, so 39 defenders. And then for the hair work, we had 31 defenders, 7 high council, so that's 38. We posted it on our forums that we were going to do this, and if they want to show up, and give them the ground rules. You know, nobody kills a blue, that we're supposed to be protecting and be charming and defend, and we were expecting maybe 20 people, and literally more than half our guild logged on for it. We were really shocked.
Okay. Is it true that you all did the harrower and protected the folks from the Scarebreak Community Center?
Yes.
Okay, here's a random question. How did you find out about the dungeon change, about the change in where it was being played?
About 5 hours before the event was supposed to start, we were watching Shame, and the activity of enemy guilds was kind of high. So we started talking to Edgar, and we're like, no, this isn't going to work. They're logging their characters out. They're putting their stealthers in place. As soon as your blues go down there, they're dead. You're dead. So I think it was about 3 hours before the event, we decided we were going to change the location and not tell anybody. So our High Council knew, and Edgar knew, but nobody else knew. Our guild didn't know nothing. And then about 2 minutes before the event started, we were like, okay, let's go, guys. We changed the location. Let's go to Rung. And it was the best tactic. There was like 37 people waiting to kill us in the front of Shame, and the blues wouldn't have made it. There would have been no way to protect them or even save them from that.
But classic communication, we still had about a quarter of our guilds go to jail.
Yeah.
That's how much of a secret we kept. I was about to mention that same thing. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
We had to keep it a secret, though, just because you never know that one guy who accidentally says the wrong thing to the wrong person, and then, yeah, when we gave our word that we'd protect these people, it meant something to us, so we weren't going to let them down.
All right. Okay, last question. Do you have anything else to add?
I'm glad everybody got to do this that wanted to. Good to see fresh faces in Fell.
I just hope that some of the people out there that have never seen any actual PvP before either like what they saw, want to get involved, just that we might have brought some more players over to Fell.
I hope that the people that showed up there yesterday, because being as we are Omen, we're hated, even by people who don't have to face us on the field, or they don't have to deal with us. We have this stigma that we're like evil and we're hackers and everything else. I hope that maybe at least those 14 to 20 people see us differently.
I can totally understand, because when I started UO, there was no tram, and I learned the hard way that not every red was evil.
Right, and when I started UO, there was no tram either, and I just never went over. They don't understand that the politics that they have in Trammell are exactly the same as what we have in Fell, except we can kill each other over it.
Oh, I know that feeling. How did you plan to defend Despert?
Oh, okay. Well, without giving away too much of what Omen is, our High Council spent way too much time searching the map, deciding where res locations are, where defense points are, who has to go where. There's people in our guild that are strictly res factory, are strictly scouts, people that are just on the harrower. So when we took the blues in there, we didn't need anybody on the harrower except for one person to tell them how to do it. And then it's just basically we've done it so many times, and we've spent the time to learn these places like the back of our hands. You could have thrown any dungeon at us, and we would have been able to tell you where to go, just because that's what's taught to us.
It was actually quite amazing, because me and Maddie were back there trying to just typing, because we had no voice communication with the trannies, and just typing to them, okay, get away, prepare to run from the tentacles, when we said go, get your dogs on it, and they did everything real quick, real fast, and they were helping each other healing, resing when someone would die. They did a really great job. I was surprised.
For a group that had never done a harrower before, they did a very, very good job.
And I think that is all the questions we have.
Yay!
So who are y'all, and what guild are y'all in?
Okay, I'm DJ Sunshine, that's what most people know me as. At the hunt last night, my character is Cassie. I am part of the guild Shinra Incorporated, and which is GM'd by Edgar Figueroa, who was the one who set the whole thing up or started the ball rolling or whatever. And Daniel was
character named Biohazard, a complete bard with chivalry and spellweaving, in the same guild, Shinra Inc.
So what did y'all think of the event, or the idea of the hunt?
At first I was a little bit nervous. I thought, well, okay, we're going to Fell, and if anybody that knows me knows that I hate dying to a monster, let alone another person. And so, yeah, the whole idea kind of scared me, but I thought, all right, Ed's got faith in it, so, you know, that can't all be wrong. And you know what, Dan will be there too, so, you know, I know if I'm dead, I eventually will get alive again.
It's just spells, just pixels, it's all fun. And she's glad she went, and so am I.
Did the event go as expected?
It went a lot better than I thought it would. I had no idea what to expect, and so it definitely surpassed my expectations.
The idea of changing dungeons, I kind of had a part in, I think, but I think it was going to happen anyway. Is that announced that it was going to the event was going to happen, so everybody would be at a certain dungeon trying to expect it, and at the last minute switch. It worked out very well, I think.
What were y'all thinking when you crossed the gates from the Scarebraid Community Center in Trammell to the dungeon, to outside the dungeon in Fell?
First thought that crossed my mind was, oh my god, and I literally felt like I was jumping into a pool of water in over my head, but I went ahead and did it anyway.
I knew there was going to be a little bit of bottleneck trying to get in, because we had, 30 people on the same recall gate trying to get into a dungeon where there was already gates and sealed up, and it did kind of bottleneck, and a couple of the Reds did accidentally attack a couple of people getting in, but nobody really got offended. They understood what was going on, and it was all cool.
What did you think of when you heard that Omen was protecting you?
Well, I already knew ahead of time, you know, what the general idea was. My initial ideas of Omen and everything was, I know that there's a lot of people, and I know that a lot of people in Fell hate them. So, like, well, I think that they've got the numbers, and they've got the skill, and they've got the organization. I think it's entirely possible. And I was like, well, I've just got to put my faith in that they said they're gonna keep us alive, they were gonna protect us, and that they would. And they did, like I said, far beyond my expectations.
I thought we were in good hands.
Does this overall event make you want to go to Fell more?
Not yet.
I would definitely consider the possibility.
If this event were to happen again, would you attend?
Heck yeah.
Wouldn't miss it.
How many people would you say attended the event?
About 30 to 40 probably.
Were you expecting the number of people that showed up?
I didn't know what to think. Like I said, I think a lot of Trammell, I mean, I can't speak for all of Trammell, but if people think like me, that they were probably the same mindset, that they were a little scared to do it, and so I wasn't sure that many people would show up or how many would actually go through with it, but it was nice to see all the people that did show up and did go through with it.
They didn't really have anything to lose, though, because one of the things that Edgar Figueroa had promised is that he would give people 60,000 gold to cover insurance costs. So the only thing they would have to lose is something they could not insure, or the books that they might have gotten if the raids would have gotten through and people would have died.
How well did the participants interact with one another?
Do you mean the participants that were on the inside or the participants on the outside?
The participants that were on the inside.
Yes. I think that everyone worked pretty good. I mean, we did, that I know of, that where I was, nobody was hogging any spawn. No, everyone was taking turns. There was another tamer that was there. His dog was getting slaughtered and it died, and so I had my dog attack so that we could get his dog rezzed and everything so that they wouldn't, you know, die. And he helped me out with my dog at one point. So everybody helped everybody else that I can tell. But I don't know about the rest of the dungeon and the other people, but the few that where we were wasn't too bad. I mean, everyone seemed to work together pretty well. And that's just the additional special gift that we were given.
Okay.
The part of the dungeon I was in, there was a lot of poison traps on the ground. There was a couple archers, a couple tamers. Edgar would be running in and out a couple times. And I was there as a bard, so I was mainly just piecing, discording, and trying to keep people alive, which worked out pretty well. I believe the tamer that was there had died one time because he got caught by 2 Juka Lords and a ex-minion or overseer, whatever it was. And his dog stayed alive the whole time. Both their belts in that area stayed alive due to teamwork, and it was pretty cool.
So I know that Sunshine mentioned earlier that at the end they received a gift. Do you mind explaining a bit more about it?
No, I was referring to the after the initial hunt.
Are you referring to the gift as in where Omen escorted y'all over to the Harrower in Death Start, I think?
It was the first time I've ever seen a Harrower in color. The only other one I ever witnessed was as a ghost on purpose because we were just wanting to watch. I mean, no way we would ever have been able to participate. And so I'd never seen one in color before, let alone participated, and it was really cool. And so, yeah, I just love being a part of the whole experience. But that part was a complete surprise to me. I found out after we're about done at the dungeon, and someone said to me in Guild, "Oh yeah, we're getting to do a Harrower or something," and I'm like, "Wait, what? Okay, what do I need?" I started freaking out, thinking, "What am I going to need there that I don't need here, etc., whatever." I had no idea what to expect on that either.
I thought I'd better hurry and get ready. Don't want to keep them waiting.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, personally, I'm disappointed that the Harrower does not take damage from Word of Death. It didn't let me do it. And so the only way I could get any damage done on my character that I have there was casting Holy Light next to it. And somehow it didn't target me and I didn't die. For that, I'm thankful.
Yeah, I think Chad, after that, that's what one of the things he asked, or he said, the Word of Death didn't work. I was really upset. And someone else said, yes, it does, but it has to down to whatever amount of life. And I was like, well, yeah, but he wouldn't let him do it. It said something like, you can't do that to this creature or something. I don't know. I didn't see the screen. Now that our computers aren't near each other, we can't read the screen. But all I know is that it was a really neat experience. Going to Fel, you know, okay, there's always a chance that you're going to die. And so at this time, I was really prepared to die, and I ended up not, which is good. But even if I had, I would have known, you know what, it's part of the experience. I had things insured. I wasn't too worried about it. It was all in fun. I ended up with 5 books and a plus 20 stat scroll. And like I said, I wasn't expecting anything. I was just expecting to go with a bunch of people, and I might die. But look at all the stuff I got to do anyway, and it was really cool.
Right here, buying 18 by 18 house in Malice.
Selling stuff. See my journal for details. Selling 100 White Trolls, 100K.
Oh, hi again, Alex. I didn't know you were going to be here.
And here I am at the Bagball Stadium near Luna with Edgar Figaro. Okay, so first off, who are you?
I'm just a regular old guy from Lake Superior. I'm in the Guild Shinra. It's a bunch of PVM guys, and we do peerlesses and things like that. We also run an auction and try to do some shard events, make sure everybody has some fun. Edgar Figaro.
Alright, so what prompted you to come up with this idea?
Actually, this whole idea came from a community meetup that we had on Monday, and they were trying to think of new thing that we could do that were unique to get the shard going. And we'd had a lot of talk about how we just got whooped down by Omen a couple hours ago in Shame, and we thought it might be kind of cool to see if they would go along and let us hunt in Shame for a while. So tracked down some people and found them out and got a hold of DJ Vampira here and a couple of her associates, and we all, actually when I first started out, I had asked if they would just kind of turn a blind eye toward us and just kind of leave us alone, but it turned out to be a whole lot more.
What did you think of the overall event?
Oh, the event was 100 times better than I would have ever imagined. When I first started the event, I was kind of trying to preach for everybody not to fight, not to try to come ruin the event, you know, other guilds rush in, but the closer it got to the event, the more likely it looked like that it was just going to turn into a massive free-for-all. And the people, Omen and all their members, there must have been 30 or 40, 50 of them even, they had complete control at all time. It was amazing. None of the Blues got killed by PKers at all.
Would you like to host another event like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to do a couple more events, a couple more in Fel, a couple in Tram, kind of bring it up, you know, balance it out so that everybody gets a chance. In a couple weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to fill a chest with, it's getting bigger, it's almost at 100 million gold already, just full of cool stuff. and we're going to drop it in the middle of a dungeon at a predetermined point and a predetermined time, and we're going to have the guilds fight out over it, and it's going to be locked, and it'll be full of goodies, lots of good stuff in there, and hopefully the best guild wins, gets the good stuff.
Why was there a change in the original dungeon?
Yeah, well, up until the last couple hours, we were all set to go to shame, but as the day progressed and it got within close, it was pretty apparent that a guild scoped out any avenue for us to get in there safely. One of the primary things about it was to keep everybody safe. We wanted to keep the Blues alive so they could have a good time, and we didn't want a slaughterhouse of people. And so changing the dungeon was the best way to go. It allowed Omen here to set up a great defense that was completely impenetrable.
All right. How would you say the event went?
The event was awesome. We had 24 Blues that started out. We went on into the dungeon for 90 minutes and did really well. I got 5 books myself. I know others that got 6 or 7. Couple got less, couple got more, but it went excellent. And then they surprised us with a harrower, and that was something I hadn't even planned. And just watching that go on was amazing. It was cool to do the harrower. I'd done a couple back in the old times, but not in years. And it was just amazing, the coordination and all the people that were involved to get it to work out. There were fields everywhere. I can say that's one of the things that struck me were the screens and screens of fields and choke points in a place, Destard, which had no choke points. It was really quite unique.
Do you have any other comments to add?
Only that I hope that this gives a new appreciation for PvP and a new appreciation for Omen. And for everybody out there, for all the guilds, a newfound respect, and I just hope that people realize that there's good people behind some of these characters that chase them down while they're mining or trying to get books in the dungeon. There's really good people behind them, and whether or not they're out there to kill you.
All right. That's all the questions I have.
You said choke points earlier. What were you referring to?
A choke point is a point where the natural terrain, a small path or something like that, where you can set up people and defensive strategies to try to keep people from getting out of that particular area. Like in Wrong, at the very entrance, there's a very narrow path that you can follow inside the dungeon, and that's where Omen set up their choke point. In Destard, where it's wide open, the harrower just kind of spawned in the middle of Destard. We had to lower him down, but it's basically just a big circle-type, arena-type dungeon, and there was no choke points there. And so they had to field off entire screens of fields just to keep us safe.
Were you expecting this many people to show up starting from the Scarebrae Community Center and willing to go into Fel?
I'm pretty surprised as many showed up as they did. I knew that at least 6 or 7 of us were going to show up, you know. And with all the talk of killing the Blues as soon as they showed up, and all the talk that was going on at West Brit Bank just a couple hours before was there saying that Omen was going to kill us all and this was all a trick. I thought that might deter more people than it did, but it really didn't. We had a great show out for the Blues, and a great show up for Omen, and a great show up for those that oppose Omen. I wouldn't hesitate to think that there were 120 plus people all together at this event and doing one form of another.
And I think that will wrap it up, because I think that's all that Jopian is. Selling 100 white souls, 100K. Stop spamming stuff. Selling white worm.
Buying 18 by 18 house in Malice.
Looking to buy 100K arrows. So who are you?
Okay, well, I'm Aramet Sect on the Lake Superior Shard, of course, and I got wind of the actual hunt. I believe it was the afternoon of the hunt from Edgar Figaro, and he let me know what was going on. So I was able to arrive at the Scarebrae Community Center about 5 minutes before, and was given sort of a heads up of a location possibly changing, and was willing to just roll with it, and we did, and we ended up in Wrong Dungeon and Fel.
So what'd you think of?
I was impressed. First of all, I was really impressed with the typical tram players that wanted to go. Usually you mention going anywhere, and everybody kind of freezes up and goes into, scared mode. It can't seem to pull up the courage to do it. But I think with the assurance that they had from Sabina, Sabina's very responsible for hunts, and with Edgar, and then just knowing that there would be protection. There were so many that were willing to go and just give it a shot, even if it didn't work out. So I was really impressed with that, how many would show up. And there were even a few that don't typically do the community hunts that were really interested and asked me about it. And I said, yeah, absolutely, come try it out. So that was my first impression. I was really impressed with that. And then just at the organization and the willingness to make that last-minute decision for the benefit of the players on Omen's part and on Edgar's part. I was really pleased that they would look out for the players to that extent. And then all the way through, from the time we got there, it could have been just a matter of, just this Fell Guild making sure that anybody with the blue robe, wouldn't be killed, but they went that extra mile and just making sure that every corner of the dungeon was protected. Even the players there that were hunting were protected from, just the regular spawn. I witnessed many players being killed, and just the overall interaction, I think, was a really positive experience for everyone.
Were you expecting this many people to show up at the Scarebrae community?
Quite honestly, just from the feedback, I wasn't really surprised with the numbers. It was great to see that everybody who had asked about it and wanted to go showed up. I was just happened to be running late, so I had really no idea what to expect. And I don't believe Edgar maybe even really realized how many would show, because he fell short a few blue robes, and I ended up giving mine away too. Figured, well, I don't have a robe on, I'll take the gray extreme, that's fine. If I end up getting killed in all this, that's fine too. So just going in and watching everybody just so willing and ready to just hop in that red gate, and the amount of numbers that was there, it was good.
If another event like this was hosted, would you attend?
Absolutely. Based on the feedback and, the few players that had come to me afterwards saying, they really would like to learn more about how to combat Fell, because it is a lot different, versus, when it's PVM versus PvP. So there's a different play style to get used to. So that made me kick around the idea of adding in, maybe starting out like once or twice a month, just meeting again and putting it on the calendar and on the schedule. And if there's anybody willing to give us players a kind of a lesson, and it's hard to say. I don't want to say, we want a free pass to a champ. I don't want it to be approached that way. I would like to do an actual, training night, teaching them how to duel, teaching them the different play style and mentality that you have to have. So, yeah, I would like to do something like that really soon.
What were you thinking as soon as you first stepped out of the gate in Fell?
I think what normally happens when I step into a red gate, there's a different shot of adrenaline that you get, even just sitting in your seat at your keyboard. Everything changes. Your whole body is kind of alert to it. Even though there's fun to be had, there's just there's a different vibe to it that I really like and appreciate. Flipping through and getting that adrenaline rush and watching all the other players and just not knowing what's going to happen. You know that it won't take long before there's going to be a battle, and it could happen just outside, it could happen inside. I watched a lot, and a few times just kind of sat in a corner trying to take and load screen pictures, and just watching the different strategy from the time of changing the location of the dungeon to watching the opposing guilds try to get in as ghosts and self-res in a corner, and all of that being covered, and just knowing that, the lines can break at any time, even though we were very confident in who was there that night. But, and I always feel that way. You just know that it's you're not in Kansas anymore type feeling when you're watching through Fell.
Do you have any additional comments you would like to make?
I would really, really like to thank Edgar for having the courage to just try it and to even just ask. I mean, it takes a lot. I know I've asked before in the past to approach different guilds and different circumstances, and you just don't know what the response is going to be. And then I want to thank Omen for having that response of saying, not only are we just, going to not actively search you out, but yeah, we'll offer you some protection. And then, just thanking the players for giving it a shot, and thanking
Reap Achieve for coming out and reporting on it, and he did a really good write-up on it. And it's funny, but even the opposing guilds, thank them for making it an exciting night for everyone.
And this has been Alex
and Joe Bam
interviewing the people from the Book of Truth Quest Hunt.
The event that took place on Tuesday, January 23rd on the Lake Superior Shard. For Alex and I, from Lake Superior, in Fell, in Malice, in Trammell, and here at the Scarabray Community Center. Reporting for UO Radio, the voice of society and the soul of Ultima Online.